Something's missing with this kid. This kid talks. He runs his mouth like I could be a starting quarterback with his arms crossed like this. Get your ass in the front row and study and do all that. If I know, the whole league knows. Quit being an embarrassment that way.
Okay, so that was Rex Ryan's comments the other day criticizing Shedeur, and a lot of people took issue with what the former Bills coach said, particularly because he was implying that the rookie wasn't studying. Hence, this was Sanders' response on the weekend when asked about Dillon Gabriel being elevated to the starting QB.
Vocally, anything to say?
He pretty much gave a mind map where he didn't say anything because he didn't want the media to use it against him, but that inadvertently backfired on him as many people took issue with his response, particularly Stephen A. Smith and Dan Orlovsky. And here's what these two said on First Take regarding Shedeur's mind map to reporters.
Stephen A., when you see that video, what's your reaction?
I'm not going to overreact to it. I'm just going to say that he has to know that other people are going to look at him and consider that immature. I don't consider him immature. I think that he can play. I think that he's a leader. I think that a lot is prejudged when it comes to him. I think it's unfair. I can't wait to see him get his chance on the football field or whatever. I just think that at times I wish people see ahead of time how they're going to judge you and how you should be. They shouldn't judge him. It's no big deal because every word he says, we micromanage, we dissect, and folks judge him accordingly. And I think that was his way of saying, you know what? If you don't hear anything that I have to say, okay, that's cool. And it's not a big deal, but folks are going to make it out to a big deal. I assure you there's going to be some people out there, pointing and using that to say there was immaturity there. I don't believe him to be that kind of a person, an immature person. I think he's a young man. I think he's highly intelligent. I think he's composed. I think he's been exposed to a lot more than a typical fifth-round pick would have been exposed to. Obviously, we know who his daddy is, arguably the greatest athlete who ever lived. Yeah. And those things, and they get judged harshly. All I would say to both, I wouldn't need to say this to Prime Time, but I would still say it to him and his son, that attachment, the bottom line is people are going to be ultra critical. Just be mindful of it.
Yeah, I would say this. Number one, everything when you're at that position, no matter where you rank on any kind of depth chart as a quarterback, everything you do and say is a job interview. In the NFL, every moment. I think the second thing is this. That 30 or 40 seconds, Stephen A., while he may not be an immature person, that's an immature moment. It is. Because does that 30 or 40 seconds help you in your own building? Like, is there anybody in the Cleveland Browns in that building that sit there and go, yep, that's a good moment for Shedeur. He shows growth or maturity, or he handled that well or whatnot. He handled the disappointment. Because in my opinion, I would have had Dillon Gabriel the 1 and Shedeur the 2 this week. So my question is, why is Shedeur not the backup? We're moving on from Joe Flacco. We're trying to figure out who's the starting quarterback or if Gabriel can be a starter in this league. I want to also know that about Shedeur. So why is Shedeur not the backup? Mm-hmm. That would be a starting point for me. Is that helping you in your own building? And then is that helping you in your outside of your own building? Is there another team, a general manager, a president, a decision maker that's going, I liked that. I think that person's going to help us. I think that person's a good enough player that can help us. I think he can help our building, our organization, our locker room, make us better. And so while he may not be an immature person, and I agree with a lot of things that Stephen A. said, that's an immature moment. And I think that I hope that there's somebody that in Shedeur's circle that says, hey, be yourself. I just don't think that that's helping you when it comes to you solidifying a role in a job at that spot in the NFL.
Okay, so that was what Stephen A. Smith and Dan Orlovsky had to say about Shedeur, and I kind of get where they're coming from. Look, for the most part, any response from Shedeur about Gabriel being elevated to the starting role was always going to be newsworthy, but Shedeur certainly didn't do himself any favors by amplifying his response with that mime. And truth be told, a lot of people upstairs are going to be like, what the F? Have you ever seen anyone respond this way to the media? The only player I can see get away with something like this would be Marshawn Lynch. We all recall his viral Super Bowl week moment when he refused to answer questions from the media and just gave a blanket response. But at that time, Marshawn was a beast already and a pretty well-known household name who got away with a lot of things in the league, if I might add. But on the other hand, Shedeur is a rookie, a third-string QB, and this is just bringing unnecessary attention to this matter. He could have certainly given a response that wouldn't have drawn so much attention. I mean, all he has to do is look at Russell Wilson. This guy gives a proper response to any situation. That said, Steven Jackson and Deion Sanders chimed in and responded to both Stephen A. and Dan Orlovsky, and here was their response.
What up, world? I just saw on Instagram that A Orlovsky and Stephen A. Smith trying to tell Shedeur how he should respond and how he should act to get on the field. Like, are y'all talking to the Browns? Is the president of the team organization telling y'all what he should do? No. Success does not have a dress code, bro. No, you can't tell somebody what success looks like, especially if you haven't had success in that space. But one thing I do know, success looks a million different ways. And the best way to success is being yourself. Nobody can tell you how to respond, how to act, or how to feel about things. That's you. You respond how you want to. But what you don't do is let people dictate who you are and how you respond and tell you what success looks like. Success looks a billion different ways, bro. And people that's never had success in the things that they talking about cannot tell you what it look like. Don't have a dress code.